All right, I'll call the meeting of the inspectors of Carver County Jail to order, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So you're not going to read this next line, Ellie? I have to. These proceedings are being recorded for the sole purpose of preparing accurate written minutes. Recordings are overwritten following approval of the minutes, eliminating all official records of these proceedings. Any guests attending? None. And I need, onto the official action, I need approval of the minutes for the meeting, the regular meeting of January 18th, 2023.
So move.
Mark?
Second.
And I'm going to be abstaining from this because I was not at the last meeting. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion passes. Report of any executive sessions. I don't think we had any. None. And we will go on to the reports of the committees, the maintenance report.
Sykes Brothers was in for their monthly service. Train replaced the circuit board in the medical unit. We installed an Icon flush regulator in an RHU cell that is something to limit the amount of flushes that they can do. I mean, you can flush the toilet once every 6 minutes, but if you flush it twice within a 5-minute period, you can't flush again for an hour. It's to avoid flooding or trying to flush like clothing items and other things like that down the toilets.
Okay.
And it's been in about 3 weeks or so now, and so far everything seems to be working real good with it. We got it as a free sample, so it didn't cost the county anything to put this one in. Hobart was in for a dishwasher issue. We've been having a couple alarms coming up. It's all covered under warranty. They should be back shortly and they'll take care of that under warranty. KFS was in for a door issue. We had mechanical service company in for a generator issue. The one day, I guess there was a little glitch, the generator came on and just wouldn't shut back off. So they came in, they wired it so that it would work, and came back a couple days later and replaced the part. The roofers were in and they installed the safety gate around the roof hatch. So it's a little crooked and stuff, but hey, it's in, it's done, I'm happy. Pump house update, John made another adjustment to that pump too, it started making noise the next day. Like I say, he took a recording of what it sounded like and he's sending it to the company. I had Mark Bonnick from Van Cleef Engineering, he stopped in one day after work just to take a look. And the only thing that he noticed was like the run time of the pumps is very short. And he said typically that's not good for pumps. So he said if he would want him to look into anything further, then we'd have to come up with a charge or something like that. But as of right now, he did this at free of charge, just as a favor. So I don't know if that's something we want to get Carbon Engineering to investigate. I'd say if I had more time, I could call the company up and ask them what their recommendations for run times of these particular pumps are versus what the run times we actually have.
And I know I talked to Mike a little bit about it yesterday.
Yeah, he told me he talked to you, I talked to him after that.
And I said to him, it just, like them impellers just seem like they're made
Well,
out of a
this-
tin can.
This one now almost seems like it could be a bearing going, but it sounds to me the same as when the impellers are going.
Yeah.
But if you listen real close, it sounds up like it's up in the motor on this one.
Because he even said them, like, them pumps are up to specs that was in there.
Right.
And I said, I've never seen an impeller that was made out of tin. I mean, usually they were like cast iron or something. It's like, I thought we were like shortchanged on the thing or what, but it's like, I don't know, it's something. I mean, we can't run into the same situation where we wound up having 5 tankers of water that
Right.
cost us more than if we put a new pump in.
Oh,
have we been tracking our costs in this lately, or can we go back and look up what it is cost since they're in there to help justify possible or replacement of those pumps somehow?
I know, Mike Turpak said they're still holding money back from Bognet, who was the subcontractor that was responsible for
Yeah.
putting the pumps and stuff in. Other than that, when I have time, I'm gonna write up a detailed report of, from the first time we replaced and I just haven't had a chance to get to that.
It almost seems like this is going on month to month to month, and I'm not an engineer or mechanic, but it almost seems like it's the wrong pump they put on,
Well,
or
that's what I was thinking.
the wrong application,
Yeah, and that's what I said, it might be the specs that were written,
right?
but were they the right specs that were written for what we needed? I mean, that's the
Right.
It's
big
like sometimes
facility.
these pumps, the pump will turn on, it'll run for 10 seconds and shut off. And the next time it might run for 30, 40 seconds. And like from what I've been told, most of the time these pumps will generally run a few minutes before it'll switch to the next pump. So that it could just be something like they're not running, you know, the length they're supposed to. So
And the old pumps that were on there before they were replaced were on there for quite some time, right?
there was,
They were what?
They were on there for quite some time before they
Oh,
were
yeah,
replaced.
like-
well, this is a totally different design, I worked around a lot of pumps, and I've never seen one like this, the others were the old centrifugal,
right.
impellers.
I mean, the way the old system was set up, there was always a pump running.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know exactly where the extra pressure went, but the pump was always, like, pump one would run, and then pump two would run, and then like the next day, say pump three would run, like if there was a high demand, you know, a second pump would come on to help meet the demand, but,
I think it was that pressure relief valve that
Yeah.
recirculated the pressure when it got up so high.
So was the design done by Bognet or Carbon Engineering?
I think the specs were Carbon Engineer, but I think the design could have been,
But yeah,
Bought
they just,
it
they
or-
don't specify what kind of pumper it is.
Okay.
And I know the company that put it in, that was, you know, we didn't have much problems at all. It was easy to change the pumps out, had very little problems. And unfortunately, when you bid, this is what happens.
Do you think it's possible by next month's meeting for you to put that information together? Like a timeline of
yes.
when things went, what it cost for everybody to look at
Well, I
and
don't
make a
know,
decision?
I do not know any of the costs.
Would
but I
Carbon
can-
Engineering have it?
Carbon Engineering might have it, I mean, I know, I'll be able to put a timeline of when the first pump went, when that one was replaced, second pump went, well, the wet end on those pumps were replaced up until the last pump, which is pump two. That one, they replaced the entire bottom section, not just the inside piece, the entire housing and everything for it. And like I said, it's still just making a noise, so that's.
But were the parts and labor covered under warranty or no?
Originally they were,
Okay.
this last one, I was told that the company sent that at no charge. So I don't know if John filled in for labor or not,
And that's another thing, like you said, they changed the whole housing, is there something wrong with the castings?
well,
You know what I mean,
that
that
or,
it's running
I
off
mean, they didn't
center
change, they didn't change the motor. They only changed everything from the motor down. So is there something a little offline on the motor
That's
itself
what I'm saying, they could have
that's
bad
causing it.
castings, like why it shouldn't be replaced and then 2 months later it's
So,
making a funny noise, I mean.
Well, if Carbon Engineering is holding money back, why is that? And what needs to occur for that to be resolved?
right,
Cause I hadn't heard that before, so, you know, but I agree with Mark, I mean, every
I
month
don't
we're
know,
talking
I
about
don't know
something.
about that either, because, we're still having issues at the training center too, on trying to get him to finish some odds and ends. He's supposed to get us a manual and everything, and
right, he was
an
supposed to,
operation.
he was supposed to write me up, basically a very simplified,
Yeah,
do this troubleshooting guide and stuff for over there, and I have yet to get one as well.
because that's been in there, I don't see how we could be withholding funds for that. You know, that project, that's how many years ago already.
Yeah, we started using October 2nd of 2020,
Yeah.
is when we started.
Maybe confirm that or get documentation or some rationale as to why
Right.
that's the case. Cause I don't wanna keep talking about this 6 months down the line, we're dealing with the
I
same
agree.
issues.
Yeah, and if we have a timeline that you're working on every 3 months, then we have to start going in another direction, like
Yeah.
get it replaced,
Get
whatever's
it
wrong.
resolved or get it replaced.
Yeah. Alright.
Next thing, I'm just waiting to hear back if it was deemed that the scrap metal is considered scrap of no value, cause if so, then I can call Buckman in. I know you guys, I believe you're gonna bring it up at a commissioners meeting to deem it worthless.
Well,
What do we
I
have
don't
to do
recall
with
where
that?
we were at on that. I thought it was considered all
You need
scrap,
a
but
list of-
was it
You have to have
worth
a
the
list.
Broken,
Because there was
the broken
not-
parts of metal from the picnic
Like that.
tables and,
We can't do it without a listing of what.
Okay.
Yeah, we just need an itemized description of it, just so we can put it in
there's a
the
pile of junk
resolutions.
pieces of metal from old picnic tables. So just,
Junk inventory.
Yeah.
okay, do you want me to email it to the two of you when I have it?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, please.
We have a
All
photo of
the
it.
scrap deal, we had to do it, or
Yeah,
Regular stuff.
Okay, you gonna still come up and take a look at the trailer?
I didn't, I guess Joe did,
Okay,
it's just probably not worth it.
okay. That's all I have.
I'll go up that way, I gotta go up that way anyway this afternoon, so I'll stop in right away after the meeting and look at it quick.
And did anybody look into like a building, you know, like a pole building, because I know, like we were talking about, I think Wayne even brought it up, about like we should have like bulk salt instead of using
Right.
bags to save us money. I don't know, is there a location that we could put the building? Does it have to be inside the yard? You know, I don't know, like, you know, Jim and Barry.
The area outside of the comm center, is that gonna get paved eventually, like where the dirt is, or that's just gonna get grassed and,
Oh, that's, for a, on the, by the comm center parking lot,
yes?
no real plans now,
Cause I didn't know, like somewhere there might have been, might be a good place for like,
grass in
like
and
you
then
said, a salt bin or
for
something
helium
like that.
pad or additional parking, because they were landing the helicopter up where the cones are now.
Right.
Along the road, so. I don't know, I'd like to talk about that more. It's,
That's all I got, Rodney.
Mhm.
All right, we'll go on to the work release report.
Good afternoon, everyone. Submitted is the monthly work release report. We had a total of 5 on the program, currently there'll be 3, and also submitted other revenues. And additionally, there's the in-house work program work report. If there's any questions on any of the amounts or numbers, certainly I'll try to answer those.
Anybody else have anything on that? Do we need a motion for this or not? Not for the report. Alright, then we'll move on to the plan of action committee.
So we haven't met this week, or this month, the warden and deputy warden are working on a project with their jail management system that ties into some of the issues we were talking about. And the other thing they were doing was, putting together a more comprehensive list of what was accomplished since they were there. I believe Commissioner Lukasevich had asked them to put some things together. And this was, I believe, a larger list, and then updating part of the list that the former wardens we brought in, when they did their report, there was a task list that needed to get done, so they're updating that. So I think when that gets done, we'll be able to move forward to make some decisions on the Polycoms. Ion scanner is ordered, and we're waiting on that. The tablets are tied into this JMS system. We're waiting on that to be finalized. And I hadn't heard where we're at with the camera maintenance agreement. That did get approved at the commissioners meeting? Did it?
I think we
A
did
week
that.
or two ago?
Wasn't that,
A couple weeks ago.
yeah,
Is that like the 3 cameras or something, it was a large tranche of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a few weeks ago.
So I didn't know if any of you guys had an update from Johnson Controls on where that stands. I hadn't gotten one.
No.
Okay.
Get anything?
I'm with them tomorrow to work on panic alarm stuff, so I'll bring it up with them and see what we can get. That was all I had for that report.
Did we ever get anywhere with like that tree removal or anything yet? Did we look into it, or are we gonna like get something, get a price on it, the
Well,
other trees cut down?
once I let me know exactly what trees you want done, and we'll at least, go after the ones that we can get done, so it would be less cost to the county than having someone come take them all down.
Mike and I can go up and take a look
Yeah,
at
and it
that
might
when
be a
it comes
thing
back.
before we start getting leaves on the trees, start hacking away there.
Oh, it's all that
A lot of them are
scrub
fine.
brush
Yeah.
and that other stuff, so.
Okay.
Mike and I will come up, we'll get that straightened out, and 5 of us can walk through, 6 of us.
Before the snakes come out.
They might be out with this weather.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any yet, though.
Anything else, Sheriff Sigler?
No, sir.
All right, move on to the warden's report.
Okay. The warden's report is from January 1st of 2023 to January 31st of 2023. We had 61 male admissions and 24 female admissions in the time period, with 52 male releases and 17 female releases. Average population for that time period was 141. The population as of 1/31/23, we had 99 males and 29 females for a total of 128. So far in 2023, we have had 85 new commitments. As for our transports and hospital runs, we've had 1 hospital run, 2 runs to orthopedics, 4 to specialists, for a total of 7. Had 3 days of hospital duty. That concludes the report.
In that report, would it be possible on your admissions, you have 85, if they were there prior, to track how many are returns?
Oh. Okay. Yeah, we'll do that for the next one. I don't know if you're gonna get an accurate picture. Sometimes people who've been there before, the sheriff brings them back and forth for court, so they may come back 3 or 4 different times on the same case. And it may not be that they're repeat offenders, they're just in other jails and being bounced back and forth for sentencing and guilty pleas and stuff like that.
You may wanna track rearrest,
Rearrest maybe.
because
yeah,
that will
that's
give
a-
you, I
yeah,
think, a different number.
Okay, yeah, that's,
And
I
the,
thought that's what we were talking about when he said new admissions.
Yeah, well, anybody who comes in, we count as an admission, but they may be bouncing in from different jails for
To get a
court
grip on
appearances
how
and things
many
like
are
that.
Repeat offenders.
you may wanna consider putting a time frame on that, like, is there a difference if it's a rearrest within a year, 3 years, 5 years? You know, that makes a difference, I think,
Yeah.
but
The, what we were using previously on the recidivism was 3 years, I believe, when they averaged it out
yeah, that would make sense.
over the last 3.
Okay.
Anything else?
That's
All
all I
right,
have.
thank you. Do we need an exec session? Yeah,
Motion for the warden's report, Derek saying,
oh, okay.
I'll make that motion.
And second, all in
Second.
favor? Any nays? Motion passes. Sorry about that. Now, do we need an exec session or is, you all right? Okay. All right. And personnel report, I guess everybody looked at it.
Where are we at with we changed the hours for that other maintenance position?
We still have yet to fill the other maintenance position. We had a gentleman that we thought was gonna take it, and he backed out at the last, we had 2 that we thought were gonna take it, and both backed out at the last minute, so we have re-advertised again for it.
At the new hours?
At the new hours, yes.
The 2 that we had offered to were at new hours as well.
Yeah, we offered it to them, but
They were both
I don't know what it is, it's like. Maybe we can get some of these people that we let out, maybe we can,
A lot of them
maybe
have
maybe they would want the job, I mean, I don't know what we have to do that, but.
Did the ones that back out tell you why, or just?
I think the last two that backed out were kind of afraid of working in prisons, to be honest.
The one guy I talked to, he just found a separate job that paid more, so he went with that.
Mm-hmm.
And when you did the job fair, that was just for the guards or what?
Yeah, it was.
Like, I know they're trying to plan job fairs, I think, for other departments. I wonder if we should include that in it for like maintenance, that, you know, that at least, I think people don't realize what's involved there. I think you get somebody, but the ones that you really think you're gonna get don't wanna work in a prison. You know, we have to focus on the ones that would work anywhere, and I think explain to them, I don't think they know what's entailed there. They think they're gonna have 6 prisoners walking around with them and they gotta watch the prisoner, and that's not the case. I think maybe if they get it explained to them a little bit better, maybe we can have more candidates, and we just can't limp around with, you know, Ron, and then have somebody go up there to help them once in a while. So maybe that's what we do. I don't know, do you know when they wanted to do that job fair? We have to-
I know the prison was working on maybe spring, there was it was a date that, not an exact date,
Yeah,
but we had talked with drug and alcohol, who was also struggling with positions that were gonna work with in the prison. So we had suggested maybe advertising for those positions when they advertise for their job fair, because they kind of affect each other, but we didn't come up with, I'm not aware of a date. I know Sam from HR was instrumental in helping you with that the last time, so.
She was, yeah. We were talking about just like quarterly, once every 4 months or so.
yeah, cause I think they're trying to do it like for children and youth and everything else too.
It's a good idea, it worked for us.
Yeah, okay. Any new business?
You know, go on.
Fine.
Yeah. One item, I'd like to extend a formal invitation to the public defender to attend the meetings. You know, just to formally ask him, again, you know, I would say if there's one gap in Title 61 when it comes to the prison board, it's probably having someone on the advocacy side for the inmates and stuff like that. And so I'm just sending him a formal email, just saying, hey, would
Well,
appreciate it.
that's good, cause he
Yep.
actually called me last
All
night.
right.
He wanted to know if there was anything that he could get involved with to help
Okay.
out, so
Yeah,
send him the email.
yeah, good.
The other thing under new business, you wanna talk about that subcommittee?
Yep.
That, through the CJAB, we talked about it at the executive meeting yesterday, I know Derek was there, and Judge and myself and Dan. What,
I just got a question. Did I miss a motion for the personnel report?
I thought, oh,
you
well,
know, you didn't,
no, I didn't make one,
you're
because,
fired.
no.
Move to
It said
accept.
If needed.
Yeah, move to accept the personnel report.
I need a second.
Second.
Dan, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank
Any
you.
nays, motion is passed. Okay, on the subcommittee.
So, as part of the Criminal Justice Advisory Board, or CJAB, there is a strategic plan that frequently needs to be updated. So the executive committee for CJAB has been meeting to revise that plan. That really entails membership, establishing goals, listing accomplishments from subcommittees. And one of the subcommittees is termed prison population. I hadn't been involved in that from the creation or when that was created on there. There's not a lot of items that are in there that need to be reported on. But as we talked in CJAB yesterday, it may make the most sense to have the Plan of Action Committee that is already in place act as an ad hoc committee for CJAB for the purposes of just providing an update on the items that are listed, as well as potentially meeting on an ongoing basis if there are those issues that come up, because that's what the Plan of Action Committee is really doing anyway. You know, we can make a report to this board about those issues, but rather than reestablishing a separate committee or anything like that, it just made the most sense to have that be part of the CJAB. So, you know, I just wanted to bring that to the board's attention to get approval, make sure that makes sense, or if there's another suggestion that makes more sense, just so we can move forward with the CJAB strategic plan.
And who's all on this committee? I mean, who's?
The plan of action
Yes.
committee? It's the district attorney, myself, warden, and deputy warden.
Okay, cause I mean, like, when we first came in here, I think there was like 260 people in the prison. And it was like, now it was down to like 100, was it 125 or something at one time? And it's good to sort of know, like, what's the reason?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, how did, I mean, it's good lower, but what can we improve to keep it like this? Cause sometimes it goes up to 140,
Yeah.
maybe 150, and are we missing out on something? I mean, for us, I think it would be good, and I think with these other positions that we're having, I think it's gonna help in other positions too, to try to seek people out. That they don't line up in prison for 3-4 months at a time.
And one of the other things I talked with Derek about after the CJAB meeting yesterday, that the public defender brought up in the CJAB meeting to look at additional programming that may be needed at the prison. And that may or may not be the case. I think you have to look at what's needed, how do we provide it, is what we have effective or not effective? But rather than, you know, other people making that decision, I think the prison has to be very much involved in that, because if a recommendation for program A is made and we go after grant funding or do something, well, was the prison involved in that decision to see if it was feasible? Maybe there's a reason that it isn't feasible, or maybe they have other thoughts looking at it through a correctional lens that we may not have. And I think the subcommittee for CJAB, as well as this plan of action committee, really works together well to come up with getting those ideas and processing the information. And then, you know, we're providing a weekly report to this board, or a monthly report, you know, to this board every month anyway. So just wanted to throw it out for thought, see if everybody agreed, disagreed, or had another proposal.
And that might be something for Paul to be on that committee. I don't know how, good or bad idea, because I mean, he has a lot of good
Yeah,
ideas
it does.
from that side. I mean, that might be somebody to be added to that committee.
Something we can look at.
Okay.
So does the board agree we should do that? Is there any disagreement with doing that?
I think we need to hear what the recommendations are, what services they think are lacking.
Okay.
Or select on, so.
So our next meeting, then we'll discuss the bulleted items from the CJAB strategic plan, so that we could provide an update to CJAB, and then we can also start talking about additional things to put related to the prison in the upcoming strategic plan. All right, thank you.
Any old business? No? Do we have, well, I don't think we have any correspondence this month. And the solicitor's report?
I have no report.
None?
No, old business. I saw this was in the packet, the Blue Ridge cable stuff.
Yeah, it's under new business.
Oh, is it?
here.
Okay, yeah.
Blue Ridge will no longer be providing service at the jail as of March 31st, and apparently to them,
Turn the page over.
doing bulk service is not cost effective.
Oh, okay.
They recommended we reach out with DirecTV, which we have done, sent the proposal to the solicitor, and I think we sent all you guys a copy as well. That's where we are right now. And this is something that the county doesn't pay for, it comes out of the inmate commissary.
Yeah.
And, you know, without any objections, I think we're gonna go with DirecTV as a service.
Is that a satellite based?
Yeah.
So does that mean putting things on the roof?
Well, I think it's one of the, isn't it like a little, it's not the big thing.
Oh, yeah, I
like-
know, but,
Yeah.
It's not like it used to
They
be.
could put it on one of the parapet walls. It
Oh,
wouldn't be
okay.
on the new rubber roof.
okay.
Yeah.
And we do have the OMS upgrade.
They're working on it as we speak today. We should be done by the end of the week.
And what about the Glock training?
We had, what we said, four out to be trained as armorers. It went last Tuesday, I believe it was. Went back, they found the course very beneficial.
Okay.
In relation to that, all of your firearms should be armored by your armorers once a year. There is an armorer's report that should be kept on file. just so that you have a record that, because the armor will break that down in a different way, other than those 5 moving pieces that, you know, we all clean anytime we shoot it. But just make sure you have those reports. If not, we have blank ones that your armorers could work with our armorers, just so you have a record for that.
Yeah, we're already on that.
Okay, good.
So Warden, just so I'm clear on the video services, does that affect the telecommunication between the courthouse and the prison? Okay, that kind of, we use those constantly, you know, so you don't have
Yeah.
to transport, so I just wanna make sure that's not considered part of video service.
Just for TV.
TV service, they're not
Okay.
providing to bulk businesses anymore.
Okay,
Prisons,
okay.
hospitals.
Just wanna make sure, 'cause that would be a major,
We're
major
good.
effect.
We're good, Your Honor.
You don't want Gilligan's Island on tour, that's right. Any further business? None, meeting adjourned. Yeah. I-